Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning. This is Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, Inspirational Speaker, Performance Enhancement Expert, and author, Sean Douglas. Welcome to all of our listeners who are listening from wherever you are. This show is currently heard in 28 countries, such as U.S., Brazil, Canada, France, Australia, and New Zealand. So thank you from everyone who is listening. Thank you so much for the support for the show. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformations. Here, we tell the stories of why we are doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we are using these two to help transform others and elevate everyone around us. You can listen to us every Wednesday and on the first and third Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. But today is a special episode. With us is Melinda Wittstock. How's it going?
Hey, Sean, it's great to be here.
I am so excited that you're going to be here and talk about your launch and talk about all of the cool things that you have going on. So if you're ready, I'm ready.
I am definitely ready.
Perfect. So the title of this episode is called Wings of Inspired Business with Melinda Wittstock. Melinda Wittstock is a serial entrepreneur, technology and marketing innovator, and an award-winning journalist and host. She is the founder and CEO of the social intelligence company Verifeed and the host of the new podcast for female entrepreneurs, Wings of Inspired Business. Melinda believes in being the change she wants to see in the world, and she works with mission-driven business and thought leaders to accelerate their business growth and social impact. Her moonshot is to invest in 100 female-founded and run businesses in the next 10 years. Her career spans the times of London, BBC, NPR, CNBC, ABC News, and her own companies, Capital News Connection, NewsiT, and Verifeed, among them. She's a single mom with 2 kids, 14 and 11, and she's an avid traveler, yogi, and believer in mindfulness and daily meditation. And you can connect with Melinda with all of the links that are in the show notes on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So I love the fact that you have that big BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal. I love that.
Right. Thank you. I think when you put things out into the universe like that, there's a providence about them, especially if as an entrepreneur, you're creating value for other people, because great stuff follows if you go out and just create value. And I saw this opportunity really in the fact that so many women achieve these amazing things as entrepreneurs, and yet they seem to succeed in silence. There's this image of the entrepreneur as being like a dude in a hoodie with running shoes. Right? And yet there's all these women out there doing these amazing things, and you don't really hear about them. And so I really wanted to change all of that.
That's awesome. So what made you launch the podcast?
You know, it's funny. I started about a year and a half ago. I had the blessing to go to Sir Richard Branson's Necker Island with my entrepreneur group, Maverick 1000, and it was incredible. And we were standing there amid all this beauty and with lots of high-performing entrepreneurs and Richard, and I was just sort of thinking, you know, I want to do something a little bit bigger or more meaningful. I started to get very, very interested over the last few years of attaching entrepreneurship to social mission and social impact. And I've seen just through my own journey as a female entrepreneur, there's all kinds of, you know, it's hard enough being an entrepreneur, right?
Oh, yeah.
right.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's hard enough. But, you know, women really don't get the same amount of access to capital and, you know, it's a whole bunch of different things. And I thought, well, I really want to be the change that I want to see in the world. And I had this idea at that time that I wanted to write a book, and a book about my experiences and challenges as a female entrepreneur. And I thought, you know what? I would like to interview a whole bunch of other women. So I started interviewing women, and I had the most amazing, inspiring conversations. And then a whole bunch of my friends and associates, colleagues, investors said, but Melinda, didn't you used to be like an interviewer for the BBC? Like, why aren't you doing a podcast? I'm like, oh, duh, right? I mean, it was just kind of one of those silly things that it made sense. You know, I was interviewing all these amazing women. Why not continue those interviews in a podcast format, and at the same time really create a community of women, so women can kind of stand up and like affirm and acclaim each other, help each other, write checks for each other. If access to capital is so difficult, the more we as entrepreneurs succeed and have exits and have more cash, you know, we can start investing in each other's businesses. So I wanted to really create that vibrant community.
That's
so the podcast
awesome.
is a great way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can we, like, if I wanted to listen to your show, how would I find it?
Oh my God! So like today, we're shipping the first 20 episodes to iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud, Google Play, all of that. So however long it takes for the approval process, you should be able to find Wings of Inspired Business sometime this week. I just don't know the exact. I'm on tenterhooks because I don't know the exact moment where it goes live, but it will be there if you look for Wings of Inspired Business.
I'm pretty sure that iTunes takes could be a couple hours, could be a day, just to verify those episodes. Why did you do 20? Most people either don't do any and they launch a podcast, but because what I found is you do about 5 because you have 5 very different. Like they're not all like an entrepreneur. Like one's a relationship, expert. One's a finance expert. One's just having a broad kind of. You can have all entrepreneurs, but you had just a broad spectrum. They're not like, unless you're a relationship podcast. But if you're not a relationship podcast or whatever, you have just a couple of the same kinds of people. Whatever. Did you? Is that what you guys did? And
Well, all my guests are high-performing female entrepreneurs. So episode 2 is with Kara Golden, who founded Hint Water. And it was a side project for her. She was a technology entrepreneur before, and she wanted to break her Diet Coke habit. And we hear her story about how this kind of thing to solve a personal problem for herself turned into a $100 million business. It's now really on track to be a $1 billion unicorn. So she is interview number 1. Number 2 is Ping Fu. Ping invented 3D printing. And so if you've ever heard of Invisalign braces, seriously, if you've ever heard of Invisalign braces, and also after the Challenger disaster, she worked with NASA using 3D printing to make sure that, the entry and the leaving the atmosphere and coming back wasn't going to kind of blow up our spacecraft. She's incredible. So like her story, Tina Sharkey, who founded iVillage and now is the CEO and founder of Brandless, which is kind of a consumer goods company that's really focused on millennials. So amazing women, like really, really high performing women are on this show.
Those are definitely different.
And so you asked me kind of why 20? And so I think I just wanted to have a big impact. I'm like, okay, these stories are amazing. I just wanted to show just how many amazing women are out there that you've never heard of that are doing these incredible things, and just make that impact. And also I wanted to, honestly, I wanted to build a community fast. And I think when you're highlighting the accomplishments of people, they're more likely to also, post the show and, that kind of stuff. So we're all kind of promoting it together. And I think that's, great. And I'm excited about it. And then today when we launch, I'm asking all women out there who have their own super sheroes, I guess,
right.
that they want to nominate to be on the show to nominate. And they can do that right now ahead of like our website is about to launch, like any minute. I don't even know if it's up yet. So,
right.
It's going to be wingspodcast.com, but sometime in the next few hours. But you can go to facebook.com Wings Podcast or Melinda Wings at Twitter and nominate like any guest that you really want to hear from, because it's a real give forward. I'm inspired by the women I'm talking to, but I want to know who's inspiring other women to really go out and succeed and find the confidence and the connections and the capital, they really need to really fly.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. So one of the themes here, or the theme here, is that transformational moment that set you on the path to what you're doing now. So if you could look back, what was that moment? What was that transformational moment that says, I must do this? Because it comes from an idea, like somebody said, hey, you used to do this, like why not do it? What was that transformational moment that said, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, I love it. I think it was on Necker Island, standing there on the beach with my awesome friends and entrepreneurs from Maverick 1000.
That's awesome.
And one of the exercises we do at Maverick sometimes is I think I'm not sure if it was at that event or one before, where sometimes you look backwards on your life and the things you used to love to do as a kid, or just different exercises to really figure out what's your actual passion and what's your true purpose in life. I mean, who are you? Right. Why do you do what you do? And Steve Jobs had said that often in our lives, we do all kinds of things that seem unrelated or like disparate. But when you look back and where you are, I guess you're old enough like me, right? You can look back and you see, oh, I see how those things connect. And so like in his case, he'd been really interested in typography. So how did that connect to making computers? But then all those years later, you saw just in the design of Apple and all of that, how those two concepts connected. So it was something similar for me, that on one hand, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had Verifeed is my fourth business. I've ridden that roller coaster, the ups and downs. Some companies have succeeded, some have not. It's been hard. It's been great, exhilarating, all of that. But I realized that journey needed to be chronicled for women, not only like chronicled, but like acclaimed, that it's part of our history. It's giving women permission to actually sing their own praises, which often they don't. Like they think that personal branding is like personal bragging.
Right.
So it's like we don't put our hands up and say, hey, whoa, like look at me. So I kind of wanted to change that. I just saw a lot of reasons to change it. And then in addition to being an entrepreneur, as you guys know from how you introduced me, I started out as a journalist. So when I was 22, I joined the Times of London somewhat inexplicably. I was not even from there. Anyway, as a business correspondent and then as a media correspondent, I interviewed all these amazing entrepreneurs, as a journalist, and then went from there into radio and television. And so I thought, I should be combining these two skills. It just seems to make sense. Because I felt like I had this kind of bifurcated life. I had this okay, here was me as a journalist and a host, and now here's me as a tech entrepreneur. And people would continue to ask me, how do these two things connect? And I never really could answer them very well. Just other things.
Got it.
But I guess now I can, because they do connect.
Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you had to go back through this whole process, would you change anything or do anything different?
Oh, God, that's a great question. And I think sometimes in life we're all haunted by the shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because it's so easy to go there. I find it's not terribly positive, though, to do that.
Right.
I try not.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I try not to do that, actually. I'm learning as I get older and hopefully get more wise that the power in any given situation is in the moment that you're in right now. It's not in the past. It's not in the future, unless you look at the past for things that you've learned. And I think, the past was what it was meant to be. I mean, I can go back and I can look at like really like difficult times in my life and think, wow, well, thank you. And I can be grateful for those times because they're making I don't know, they've provided me with insight that I might not have otherwise have had that can help other people now, right? Like that. So, do I regret things? Oh, sure. Like everybody does, right? I could have been better at that, or I could have, oh God, why did I hire that person? That person was a disaster. I should have hired this other person. Or like, oh man, like, why did I, rush that decision? Or, because we can always go back and be our own worst critics. But as an entrepreneur, we're especially vulnerable to that. And yet it's such a humbling experience because there's so much beyond our control. Right? Yeah. That the only thing you can really the only thing you can do is do the best you can do in the moment with what you know at that time and the resources that you have at that time. And that's it. You just do your best. So the one thing I do know is I've always done my best. Was my best good enough for what I really wanted to achieve? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. But I did the best I could with what I had at that given moment. And I think to think that way is a little bit more comforting, right? Yeah. Certainly to me.
Awesome. I love your energy. I think it's absolutely awesome. So, as we wrap up, because I know you have another podcast to go to, right?
Well, actually, it's just launch day. So I was joking with one of the women I've been working with on just like doing the final edits for these episodes, and she was saying, you should probably do like a podcast on what it was like as an entrepreneur to like put together this podcast.
There you go.
There were so many details, so many things that have to come together and all of that. And I'm like living it, like right now, like right in launch mode. And, and so a little bit later today, I'm just going to go do a bunch of, Facebook Lives and Periscopes and like, news release and like all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. I thought you had a bunch of stuff for the launch day going on here in the next couple of minutes. So
yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
But I mean, I would love for everybody to just go check it out, wingspodcast.com, Wings of Inspired Business. And we're going to do some really cool stuff too. We have a thing called SpeakPipe, which is a cool platform that allows you to ask a question. So like when our website launches, you'll be able to go there. And for anybody that wants to ask a question of me or for any of our guests, you can just like record your question as a guest and we'll put you on the air. So I'm excited about that because I really want to, have really lively discussion and, and good questions and epiphanies and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Perfect. So what was one of the resources that you found when you were creating the podcast and kind of researching all that stuff? What was one of the resources that you used?
Well, I was just really lucky to know a bunch of podcasters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Basically, so like my entrepreneurial go-to, if I don't know how to do something, I figure out who's doing it really well, and I just ask them how they're doing it. It's a really important thing, and I think a lot of people, are really, flattered by that. So, in fact, one of my guests who's on the show, I think she's going to be like episode 9 or something like that, Eleanor Beaton, she has a podcast called Fierce Feminine Leadership, and kind of figured out, how she did it, how she did her marketing for it, how she, she launched and got straight up on New and Noteworthy. Daniel and Tana Amon, who do the Brain Warriors Way, they grew that podcast to 1 million downloads in 6 months. So I wanted to know how they did that.
Yeah, I want to know how they do that. Let's
and
do
then
this.
and then I was working with a really cool woman called Wendy Stevens, who's a really great kind of guerrilla marketer, and she does a little service called the podcast concierge. So really just kind of like talk to her a lot about what are some of the things to do on the kind of marketing side, and let's see what else. Yes, from being an icon of influence at the New Media Summit. That was like a big deal. Hanging out with Steve Olsher and like you guys.
Yeah, that was a great event.
It was amazing, and I learned a lot from you. I got like lots of guests, some like female entrepreneurs, and some other women who are coming on and who advise and coach women. So they're going to come on and do some like coaching, and so like a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, so I'm booked through like May.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow. Well, I wish I could say that. Well, my thing is daily, so God, but I do have a lot of guests, like, so coming up, like probably I'm not to May, but through January. And I don't know about you, but I'm keeping like wild card spots open.
Yep. So what I do is I do these episodes that are just, the random episode, like for book launches, product launches, podcast launches, stuff like that are these special pop-up episodes to gain, notoriety and interest in whatever, to that person's launch. You know what I mean? Which I think is really great that I have the opportunity as a podcaster to give someone a platform and say, dude, talk about yourself and launch your stuff and let's highlight the cool things that people are doing and not all the crap that it's all over Facebook feeds and the news and let's talk about the awesome things that are going on in life. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, it's so true, isn't it? And that's funny. I mean, me coming from a news background where the only story you could ever get in the paper, because as a journalist, you have to pitch your stories.
Oh, yeah.
And then the only thing you could get in the paper was something that was really like crappy that had just happened, right? Rather than, and that frustrated me as a journalist, actually. I wanted to be able to write and delve into a lot more about innovation. And so the podcast, actually, come to think of it, is just a great way to be your own editor.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Just do, and really, but, and find your own voice. I love what you do around transformation, though, because life is transformation. We're constantly changing. And the only thing I think we can ever take for granted is change.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Some people just, they don't like change. They avoid it. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not good at that. And they come up with reasons and justifications why they're stuck.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's fear. I think one of the themes that comes up on the podcast a lot, with women too, in particular, is that we can sometimes make perfect the enemy of the good, right? Or procrastinate. Or think about all the other things we have to do before we do the thing. And I think all of those three manifestations are of fear. And the fear is, wow, am I good enough? Do I really deserve this? Whole series of things like that. And most of those things are imprinted in us as young kids. They're not even our own beliefs often. I mean, they're just stuff that we learned as a little kid, like maybe, I don't know, something we heard our parents say, or maybe the parents had an argument, or maybe we were just even watching a TV show. But it goes into our subconscious mind, and it lingers there, and it shows up as fear. And then even your friends can be like so well-meaning. They mean well, but they say, are you sure you're okay? That's like the worst question in the world. Are you okay? Because it makes you think, oh my God, am I okay? Like, should I be?
Right.
Right. And so like surrounding yourself with like really positive people who really do have your back and really do want you to succeed is really important. But like trying to get rid of those limiting beliefs and those fears. Yeah, God, it's a life's work, actually.
Yep. Absolutely. I cannot agree with you more. And so let's talk about where you're headed with the show and the new adventures and businesses and family. And I love, like I said before, I love the fact that you have that BHAG that says, I will invest in 100 female-owned and ran businesses in the next 10 years. So what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I think it can manifest in a bunch of different ways. Like, first of all, with the podcast, I'm investing in women in a number of different ways already. Not only by giving them the platform to really talk about their lives, their challenges, their successes, but also the platform in which they can connect with each other. And I think magical things happen when you catalyze a connection between people. It's kind of a 1 + 1 = 5 or like 20 or 100 or whatever. And so also, women who come on the show also have a call to action, and the show is a platform for them and for me to help them send customers to their businesses. And so in that sense, I'm already investing in them, which is really exciting. My company, Verifeed, it's a social intelligence platform, and what we do is we really help people find their customers. They're like their true tribe based on what people are talking about on social media. For instance, if you sell like it's really cool technology, and it's increasingly natural language processing and machine learning and increasingly artificial intelligence, and we can really understand a lot about people from what they share in their run-of-the-mill everyday social conversations, and from that can actually unearth the people who should be your customers. They just don't know you yet. And so this technology is really cool, and the process is really cool. And I think at some point, I will sell that company. And when I do sell that company and have like exit money, I will also want to put that into female-run and founded businesses, like particularly emerging growth technology companies. I mean, that's really my interest in supporting women in that, because they really get only like 2% of the available venture capital money. And so I'm excited about finding a way to create a fund or have women pool their money to be able to write checks for each other. And then a third way that I'm really interested in doing this, and this goes back to being on Necker Island with Sir Richard Branson, but working with his charity, Virgin Unite, to catalyze giving forward for women in developing countries. Because another one of my causes that I'm really passionate about is the environment. And there's some research that shows that when women are empowered and educated and working and all of that, it leads to an improved environment. So there's all these sorts of knock-on effects. And Verifeed, my company, I mean, already we're very mission-driven. We always give about 10% of our top-line revenue to charities around the world. So whenever anybody, whenever we have a client, whatever they're paying, 10% of that goes in that company's, in our client's name, to support education, the environment, and now women. So I'm already investing in that sense.
That's amazing. What a great initiative. That's awesome.
Well, it feels good. It just feels good, like I think as an entrepreneur, when you have a big mission like that, it's something that keeps you going even when everything, like when things don't go right, because things are always going to, like, I don't know. There's every day, like, within an hour, you can be elated and devastated, elated again, all in the same hour. Like, that's the entrepreneurial journry. So if you're doing it just to make money, or if you're doing it because you want to be your own boss, those are not the right reasons. Like, you can make money faster doing other things sometimes, right? You can, and if you're an entrepreneur, you have like a zillion bosses. Like, you're not your own boss. You have many other bosses. So the real reason to do it is because you have a mission that you care passionately about, and that mission is truly aligned with who you are and your purpose and your talents and skills and all of that. And when you figure out how to get into that zone and find your why and really walk your talk on that why with authenticity, really cool stuff starts to happen. And I'm excited about this because it's just doing good for other people. It's like why I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, otherwise, like, there's other things I could do, just lie on a beach,
I love it. Love that. There's I want to tell you about and tell everybody really about a community that I'm in called One Life Fully Lived. And it's an entrepreneurial community, and it's all about dreaming, planning, and living your best life. And there's two conferences, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. The East Coast one is in May, June, and the West Coast conference is in October. And one of the guys there, his name's Christopher Lockhead. He's got a podcast called Legends and Losers. and it's one of the greatest business podcasts that oh my gosh, like it is amazing. And I would invite you to join that community of One Life Fully Lived, and I think you would be tremendous value adder to that community. We're a community, like I said, of entrepreneurs and business owners and people who just want to live epic lives. And I think that you are literally living an epic life right now.
Oh, thank you. Well, I would love to be part of that. That sounds amazing. Oh my goodness. Yes.
I will add you to that. So awesome. So I want to ask you, what is your call to action for people? I love the fact that you do mindfulness, because I teach mindfulness practices, and I love the fact that you do mindfulness and it's part of your journey, it's part of your routine. What is a call to action for someone who needs to get centered and needs to get, started in things, but they just don't know how?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so interesting. So when you say a call to action, you mean how can they learn about it, or where to start? Is that what you mean? Or
right.
Yeah.
Like how would they get started?
Well, everybody's journey is a little bit different. I mean, in my case, I remember just being a bag of, like, how I found it was I was a bag of stress as a reporter, because I was only as good as my last deadline. I was like in constant kind of, fear and stress. And I remember that in my kind of late 20s. And then one day, and I was tired and I kept getting sick. I was like, okay, this isn't good. And I remember someone saying, hey, well, there's this, I lived in London, England at the time, and someone said, hey, there's this really cool yoga holiday you should go on. And I was like, yoga? What's yoga? I mean, because like yoga now is like ubiquitous, right? Everybody does yoga, but like back then, nobody really kind of knew. And it was this 2-week vacation where you went to Crete, the island of Crete in Greece, and like did yoga. So like I learned yoga on this like basically for 2 weeks in like
epic life.
mid 90s, like, and I came back and I never felt so good. And I was one of those people that found it really hard to meditate. I think everybody does to begin with. Our society is so busy, so noisy. We're all on these task treadmills. It's really hard to just quiet the mind. And I think sometimes we try and avoid quieting the mind because maybe we don't want to know what's in there. I don't know, right? But I would suggest, number one, just finding gaps or space in your day to have quiet time for yourself, like just to literally not do anything. Like just start there, and like don't put pressure on it. Don't weigh it down or whatever. Just figure out how to be in the moment. I think I really learned a lot of this when I got a dog. I have a golden retriever, and the first golden retriever, his name was Pundit. And I lived in Manhattan. I used to walk down the street with Pundit, and he taught me to really be in the moment. Because he started to see through kind of like how a dog sees through life. They're really 100% present. And so trying to figure out ways to be present in the moment, trying to figure out ways just to kind of be quiet. Don't put pressure on the meditating. Sometimes yoga is a good way to start meditating. That's how I began. And and being kind to yourself, taking breaks in the day, right? Thinking also about, oh my God, like I'm not just trying to be a list hero and like tick all things off a list, but think about what's the outcome? What's the outcome you want to achieve? And then when you do meditate, just ask. It's kind of almost like prayer, it's like asking for inspiration. Please just like, help me, give me inspiration, help me see, show me, teach me. And then being quiet enough to listen to your intuition and what comes in. I mean, that I share it like that because it's, I guess, it's what I know. It's how I got here. But it's a constant battle. In fact, today it's like, oh my God, I'm just realizing, like, because I'm in launch mode, I haven't meditated yet. I'm like, I better go do that.
Oh yeah. Yep. So as we wrap up, this is the moment of the show where we do a shameless plug. You can plug your friend quotes, websites, Facebook, whatever you want to plug. This is your moment of the show. Shameless plug.
Okay,
go.
So shameless plug. Shameless plug is go and like the minute Wings of Inspired Business is up, sometime in the next probably 24 hours, go to iTunes, download it, subscribe, review it, tell people how awesome it is. And also for women who are listening, please nominate your super sheroes, and we'll put them on the air, and you too. So Facebook at Wings Podcast, Twitter for me at Melinda Wings. It's a new Twitter account I just started for the Wings Podcast, so you can find out all about that there. Or on LinkedIn. I'm just Melinda Wittstock on LinkedIn. I'm going to have all that kind of information up there. And then watch out for wingspodcast.com. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of calls to action there. But, yeah, seriously, subscribe, listen, download, like all that good stuff. Write a review. Oh, and by the way, I am going to do this really cool thing. So for all the people who write reviews and can like prove that they wrote a review and all of that, I'm entering them into a contest. And whoever wins that contest once a month can come and mastermind with me in person in Washington, D.C. for the whole day.
That's awesome.
And so it's open to women in business and anyone who's a solopreneur, wannapreneur, entrepreneur, franchise owner, whatever, but as long as you're just like a woman in business or you want to start your own company, and we'll work together all day and like strategize that all out, and it's free. It's like really, really high value, but it's only open to people who review Wings of Inspired Business.
Awesome. And I just wrote a review on your Facebook page, Wings of Inspired Business.
Oh, you did? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I'm going to be loading that up with all kinds of content coming. You know that thing with the launch where you have like all these plans, and now you got to go execute them all. Yeah?
You're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I live my life by sticky notes, like Post-it notes, right?
Oh,
I'm like,
my
here's
God.
my to-do list. And so I've got like this kind of like, working fluid kind of to-do list, And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I still have a lot of sticky notes to do.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
yep.
I got that. I got that going on. I got those gigantic, those gigantic Post-it notes, like you can get really big ones.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got like
big
a whole
squares,
bunch of those. And then, yep. I got a whole bunch of those. And then I've got a lot of little ones. They're like color code. Oh, God. It looks like Welcome to My Beautiful Mind. It's a little scary. I don't know.
Nice.
I'll have to take a picture and show this process. It makes sense to me. I don't know.
Oh, no. I say it to everybody.
Translatable.
Right? Because I'm good at reading people's faces, and I'll say something, like I'll offer some advice, or I'll say something, whatever, and they'll like look at me kind of weird. I'm like, it makes sense to me in my head. I don't know it makes sense to me. I say that all the time, and they're like, no, I don't get it. I'm like, you don't get it? Okay. And then I have to go into this long, kind of drawn out like explanation because it makes so much sense to me what I said. But they're like, what? Yep. My squirrel moment. Yeah. I always tell people, I said, I got diagnosed with ADOS earlier this year, attention deficit squirrel. So, what sounds good in my head does not sound good on paper.
Yeah, I know. That's funny. Oh, man. Well, my God, it's so much fun talking to you. And I love this whole blog talk radio thing. This is really cool.
Oh, yeah. When I launched my show, so my whole why was, if I'm going to do this, I want to do this on like an amazing scale. And so when I launched my show, I wanted to be, I want to be the theme, and I wanted to be this and that. But one of the aspects of my show, I wanted to have an opportunity for listeners to call into the guests and ask the guests questions. Like that was huge for me, like an FM radio show, like your morning show, right? So people are listening from all over the world, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have a question about this or something they said. Or I've had people call in, during people that I've had that are veterans. I've had people call in with like mindfulness shows. I mean, it's awesome to know that people are actually listening. Like that's pretty awesome. But for them to like feel compelled to call into the show, I think is just absolutely amazing. And kind of what sets my show apart to some of the other podcasts that are out there is I can actually take And we're live. So people who are driving right now, they're listening to the show as they're driving. You know what I mean? So this really is new media. What we talked about at the New Media Summit. This is new media, you know?
Oh, it truly, truly is. No, it's exciting because there's so much possibility for how all these things converge, how connected we are to each other now, how we can share information. I mean, you just think of how much the startup world even has changed. You know, and I think when I was building NewsiT in 2010, I mean, it was this crowdsourcing, socially networked app. It was before Instagram. It was before Facebook had figured out its mobile UI, and we were trying to like invent the mobile UI for like crowdsourced content. Back in 2010, it cost $250,000 to start a website at least, like, because there was no WordPress, there were no templates, right? Like, so like the barriers to entry for doing like a tech startup or anything were massive, and so it's been only 7 years, and you think of how much easier that for like a relatively small amount of money, like anybody can really set up in business, you know, relatively quickly. There's so many resources now, like there's so many ways. Whereas 2010 or like I remember my first startup starting in 2002. You know, it was very lonely. There was nobody really around that was doing this, and also entrepreneurship wasn't trendy then. So, like now, it's like if being an entrepreneur is like being a rock singer in the 70s band or something, right? It's everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. It seems glamorous, and it's all of that. Of course, has this kind of wonderful kind of freedom to it, but. It's amazing how much easier it is now to be able to do all these things and leverage all these different platforms and all these technologies, and it's exciting.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and you're right. The journey's like up and down, like I'm all stuck. What just happened? And then you're up again, down again, up again, and I love the little graphics where it's like squiggly marks like all over the page. I absolutely love that. So as we close, can you deliver your best nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action today?
Oh, my best nugget that will motivate. So you know what? Here it is. Believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. Just be who you are. Don't care what anyone else thinks or says. What they think of you is none of your business. Just be yourself. Be yourself. Go for it. Do it. Be fearless.
I love it. I wish you nothing but the most amazing success with your podcast. I'm sure it's going to be, oh my God, like I'm so excited the way that you've like kind of niched this out, like female entrepreneurs and the people and guests that you have on there, like they seem so amazing. And so I wish you the best of luck, and you don't even need luck, but I'm going to be following you, and I'm going to be recommending some amazing females that I know, amazing women that I know for your community, and I look forward to cultivating this relationship that we have had since the New Media Summit, and I'm so excited for you.
Great, Sean. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.
Not a problem. It was my pleasure. So with that, I've added you to the One Life community, and I'm excited for you to meet all of the amazing people inside of that community who are just absolutely crushing life. And we will talk soon.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you for your time and your commitment to excellence.
I appreciate that. That's so nice. Thank you. It was great to be on. I love what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Life Transformation Radio listeners, another impactful episode, another impactful guest. Connect with Melinda. You can find her at Twitter, Facebook. Go to the facebook.com/Wings podcast. Look up the Wings of Inspired Business on iTunes and follow the launch. I'm telling you, it is going to be amazing. The guests that she has on her show are impacting the world behind the scenes. You don't even know it, but they are the most influential women that are out there right now. So connect with Melinda Wittstock. You will not regret it. So as we close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out those values that you hold deep in your heart. I call that living your brand. And until next episode, enjoy your day.